Hello, fellow crafters and craft lovers out there. Thank you for joining me. I'm so honored to have you here. Have you ever wondered how people get different effects inside of their epoxy resin charms? With different elements such as this water lace across the top and the shells and the sand inside, like I have in these resin charms here? Well, I am about to show you how I made these. Let's go. To start out, we've got a water lace silicone mold that I picked up from AliExpress, I believe it was, some acrylic ink, some 2-part epoxy resin. This one is a 2-to-1 ratio that I mixed up off screen. Stir in the acrylic ink. I just used a stir stick to spread it across, try to get it in all those little nooks and crannies. The following day, it has cured all the way. I cleaned it up, got rid of that flashing off screen, got some more silicone molds. Trimmed it to size. Watch this little piece fly in a second here. Woo! Bounced back. Careful, kids. Don't let those things hit you in the eye. This little triangle shaped one, while it became my favorite once everything was said and done, but every step was just a little bit more difficult. This thing doesn't quite want to fit. I moved on. I prepared some more resin. Got that already. Just filling in the wave texture at the bottom of the molds first, spreading it around. Trying to get it inside all the corners and edges and reduce the chance of there being bubbles. Grrr. Fine, I give up. I came back to it later. There we go. On the following day, I realized the resin has sort of sunk down and didn't fill all the spaces between the holes in the water, lacy water white part. So I decided that I want a bit thicker layer of clear resin. So I came back after the first one had cured and added more, trying to get a little bit of distance between this layer and the next. Sometime later, little tiny seashells, and some dye made for resin in blue. More epoxy resin that I pre-mixed. I use a little silicone poker tool to work out any bubbles that are inside the shells or along the edge of the mold where the new resin meets the already cured resin. I picked up some white sand from the craft store, and I have my real sand from the nearby beach at Coney Island. The last time I used the real sand beach, once it got put in the resin, it became a lot darker, so I decided when I saw this white sand to pick it up and see if I couldn't combine them to make a lighter colored sand in my projects. The blue layer has fully cured, and now I'm going to create a layer of sand. Mixy mixy, stirry stirry. There's something about this sand and resin mix. When I work with it and try to move it around, it seems so chunky, and then it slowly like settles down and creates a smooth top surface. It's really cool. Check out how smooth that backside is. Don't worry, I'm gonna mess it up in a minute. I just love this little white shell inside this triangle one. It's so delicate and just sits in there so perfectly. I also like the pointy striped spiral shell. That one's neat. This layered effect, I think it came out great. Where in the deeper water it looks richer and bluer, and on the top of the water it looks nice and clear. Things first, we got to get rid of the overflow and clean up the edges a bit. I want to add the bales on the opposite side of the shells there. So I wanted to figure out where they'll go and mark it. I've never done this technique before. It worked okay. For the paint that I got on the bale themselves, I had a little tray of water that as soon as I marked it, I tossed the bale in the tray and wiped off the extra paint. And that one is really crooked. Do it again. I just want to say that using this Dremel right next to my fingertips is probably not a safe way to work, and I don't recommend it. But this is how I did it this day. Aw, beautiful little triangle piece. You were a piece of work. I also want to mention that I'm wearing a dust mask while I do this, one of those N95 things. Breathing in these little plastic fuzzies would be terrible. Super glue. Stay put. Good bail. Watching this stuff, gloop down in sped up motion. Watch this. Gloop, blurb, blurb, blurb. And I learned that dipping these things straight into it like this, so much easier than trying to paint it on like I had done previously with a rubber tips tool. And now I can just use that tool to grab the hard to reach spots. The idea with the liquid latex is that when I inevitably overflow my doming on the back, it will be a barrier between the actual casting and that overflowed resin, and when I pull off the latex, the overflow will come with it. This was not my genius idea. I picked it up from suggestions in the comments and other YouTubers' videos. A combination of a bunch of people taught me how to do this. Very, very cool. And I just want to say thank you to my fellow crafters out there that share their amazing ideas like this. I love this 2-to-1 Pebeo JDO crystal epoxy resin because it's really thin. Working with it, it releases almost all of the bubbles. However, it doesn't make the greatest of doming resins. It's pretty thin, and I haven't mastered how to let it sit and thicken up before I do my doming. I can't tell you why, but I have to say I thoroughly enjoy peeling off this latex from the resin charms. There's something about the way it's so thin and stretchy. It's just a delight to like tear off and rip it. Rip. She's gonna go. Yep, my camera fell over. So our lovely triangle piece had some overflow that actually did get on the face of it, but luckily these charms are not supposed to be flat on their face. So to get rid of the sharp edges, I just used some wet sanding paper off screen and smoothed out the sharp corners because it was actually kind of sharp. It could hurt somebody. So 3 of the 4 of them came out okay. The domes are pretty thin. This one right here, you can see it when the light hits it. Enough of the resin fell off to where it's got like a puddle on one side and it didn't cover the other. So I went ahead and gave it another doming, and this has got to be like the 6th layer of resin that I made for this project. It spanned over, I'd like to say days, but there were week-long pauses between some of the stages, so this was over the course of months it took to make these things. Now I cast a magic spell, and they move by themselves. And done. Beauty shots time. Check out how the light moves through them. It's neat, right? Well, thank you once again for stopping on in and watching this video. I appreciate you.